weekend, not over the weekend, I think it was last week, Jillian Michaels was on CNN. They have this roundtable debate. And she said something about slavery. But anyway, I want to play this clip and talk about it, briefly talk about it.
Random person on into the Smithsonian. He's effectively now has some random person deciding what is appropriate for the Smithsonian to teach in terms of American history, things that don't offend parts of the MAGA base, right? So we're now literally reviewing parts of American history and parts of American culture to make sure it comports with dear leader and what the MAGA
Can we address some of those things that are in there? Because have you looked at some of the things that are being reviewed?
Yeah, slavery was a bad thing that was to talk about.
Okay.
Like
he's not whitewashing slavery. So
he's not?
He's not. No,
okay.
He's not. And you cannot tie imperialism and racism and slavery to just one race, which is pretty much what every single exhibit does. But let's talk about the fact that when you
can't tie slavery,
let's talk about the fact
that slavery in America was.
Do you realize that only less than 2% of white Americans owned slaves?
But it was a system of white supremacy.
You realize that slavery is thousands of years old?
White people were.
Do you know who was the first race to try to end slavery?
Wait a second.
Well, what's controversial?
I'm very surprised.
This is an extraordinary exercise in historical revisionism.
I'm really surprised.
Do you realize that,
Jillian, I'm surprised that you're trying to litigate who was the beneficiary of slavery and who was not.
What I'm trying to tell you is that
in the context of American history,
okay.
In the context of American history, what are you saying is incorrect by saying that it was white people oppressing black people?
Every single thing is like, oh, no, this is all because white people bad. And that's just not the truth. Like, for example, every single exhibit, I have a list of every single one. Like, people migrated from Cuba because white people bad. Not because of Castro. Yes, no, it's in there. That's what I'm saying. You don't actually know what's in there. Do you know that when you walk in the front door, the first thing you see is a gay flag?
Jillian, you have a lot of stuff in front of you.
Yeah, I do,
what
because
exactly
I don't, because here's the thing.
Are you talking about?
Okay, I'll give you an example.
Yeah, please.
There's one called Change Your Game, right? This has been an installation there. Is gender testing fair in sports? Does that, and then it goes on to talk about how it's complex to do gender testing in sports. It's not complex. It's basic science. That's untrue. It's XX chromosome, XY chromosome. That's sports. Is it fair to have biological men competing against biological women in sports? No. But why is this in the Smithsonian? So it's been completely captured.
First of all, I don't.
And it's totally partisan.
First of all, we don't have time to litigate all of this.
Of course we don't, because then you're going to lose the argument. If everything is racialized, just like you're trying to do to me now.
Excuse me.
It's like, I can't believe you're trying to suggest, that slavery
just to be clear, you brought up race.
No,
this was a conversation about the arts, and you brought up race.
It isn't.
You brought up.
But the whole point of this is that the issue
you brought up slavery, and you brought up the question of whether. You brought up the question of whether or not slavery in the United States is about race. The answer is yes.
Of course. Slavery
in the United States
don't straw man my argument, because that's not what I said.
So what are you
brought
talking
up
about?
Slavery. And what I was talking about is that this isn't really about that. When you make every single exhibit about white imperialism when it isn't relevant at all, that is a problem. So when you're talking about Cubans leaving Cuba and you make it about white people bad, that's not accurate.
Can I just say, zooming
that's my point.
We're going to move on.
I was saying on the arts thing, I think why this is.
Yeah, so I don't understand what this girl, what she was trying to, the point she was trying to make here. Jillian Michaels. First of all, why is she on the panel? She is a fitness entrepreneur. And a lot of people, whether they are political commentators or not, a lot of people don't know American history. Black American history is part of American history. They don't know Black American history. They don't know regular American. They don't know nothing, but they have an opinion, right? They have an opinion, and sometimes an opinion can lead to an entertaining debate or discussion, but it's like an echo chamber, because if you were talking about gender and the arts, how are you now bringing in slavery? And, she's trying to make a point of only 2% of the white population were slave owners, as if the rest of the white population during slavery time did not benefit from slavery, because they did. That's how you had overseers. They didn't own slaves, but they oversaw the slaves. You had the slave catchers, which would be, the police department today or whatever. You had a lot of different industries, jobs created out of slavery, jobs for white people, the advancement for white people, because you had free labor to mass produce and create wealth for this country and to create infrastructure. So this whole notion that only 2% of white people own slaves, so that makes majority of white people not bad, only 2%. Well, it does still make white people during that time, and it still make you a bad person. And it makes you a bad person because if you mean to tell me only 2% of the white people of that time only owned slaves, then why didn't the rest of the white population fight against slavery so that it would not have lasted 250 years in this country? So you white people benefited from slavery, whether you own slaves or not. That's just a fact. And she could not articulate that because she did not know that, or she's just worried about stop painting white people bad. And it's not about that. And so again, how can you go from talking about gender in the arts to slavery, and then you present this false equivalent of facts regarding the history of slavery pertaining to white people? So I don't get it. The slaves' descendants are still old. Who cares how many own slaves? Exactly. And people want to say, well, black people own slaves. Okay, you could count on one hand how many black families own slaves. And that's still bad for anybody to own anything. So did Indians. So did the Native Americans. They own slaves. Slavery did not start or end here in America. Slavery has been an institution since the beginning of time, and it continues on today in the world. So, but it's very unfortunate that a network like CNN and other networks actually prop up and promote these unintelligent, unaware, ignorant people who don't know shit. Like, just stick to your business of fitness. Nobody's not telling you about the fitness business. So how can you sit up here and debate with a black person who knows about their history? You sound like an idiot. She sounds crazy.
Dana with the data. Dana with the data.